Three Grots in a Vox is intended for a mature audience. This means there will be crude language and discussions of adult themes, especially if we're talking about tactical marines or Gabriel Seth. Viewer discretion is not only advised but encouraged. All opinions are our own and often given for humorous purposes. Any advice is given largely for entertainment purposes and would probably be ignored. But if you do learn something useful, count it as a win.
Talking about bad films. So Tony has recently gotten Disney Plus, finally. And obviously he's aware of Star Wars because, I mean, duh. But there's a whole world of Star Wars stuff out there.
Look.
What?
I've got a Stormtrooper glass.
Yep. Oh, I've got another can.
And then I've got Execute Order 6. Now, this was bought for us by a fan of the show who bought me this ages ago when I said we were going to make a Star Warsy episode.
Yeah.
And he bought me this to drink on stream. And I've only just really looked at it because it's chocolate and hazelnut Imperial Stout.
Wow.
10.5%. It's Jesus Christ.
You're going to have some problems, aren't you, mate?
It's not. It's a school day tomorrow.
Oh, is it a school day?
Yeah.
Sleep well, mate. Yeah. That'll be fun.
Cool. Fucking hell.
Man, it's been so long since
what
I
sort
had
of reaction
like
is that?
a
was
can
a
of
smell.
like 9 or 10% beer. I remember when I was a student, we used to drink. Have you ever drunk Tennent's? Ever?
Yeah.
Right, it's like the nastiest. It's the beer you get at festivals, right? And like now that I'm a bit older, if anyone offers me a pint of Tennent's, I'm like, why would I drink a pint of that pish, right? Like it
looks
the most
like treacle.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It smells so chocolatey. It smells like, genuinely, it smells like one of those like double chocolate cakes you get. You know the ones that are like chocolate cake with chocolate inside and chocolate on top.
Yeah. Go on.
It smells exactly like that.
I want to watch your face as you taste it.
Okay.
I was gonna say, so they do a can here in Scotland called Tennent's. I think it's called Special Brew, right? And it's just
I don't want to drink that.
I was gonna say it's like a 9% Tennent's beer, and it's just rough, and that's just what I'm thinking of as you drink that.
I'm sure people who like this, but we've done.
We've done a lot of beers on the channel.
We've done a lot of beers on the channel, and some of them have been weird, like that mango one and stuff like that. But this is the first time I've not wanted to drink it.
You're gonna let the rest of this drink that one of our viewers has bought specially for you go to waste.
Jesus Christ! It's the same guy that in the last episode lent me the Death Watch book.
And he
also bought me this beer. Fuck, it's so thick, it's leaving a scum around the edge of the glass.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do. Do you think people watch us for the model content?
Or Execute Order 66.
Do you think people watch for the model content, or they just want to see some random?
It's got a picture of the Emperor. I know it's not going to come out, but
wouldn't shock me either way.
Jesus, I haven't done any weird beers for a while because I haven't had a chance to go and buy them.
Take another taste.
Here we go. Oh, it doesn't grow on you. It doesn't grow on you. Oh, I just taste it just won't go either.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I'll just enjoy some water.
Strong,
cheers.
But it's not just so strong. It's so awful. It's like somebody got, you know, that chocolate sauce, the fake chocolate sauce they put on like Mr. Whippy ice cream. It's like that in texture and kind of in flavour. But if you got that and mixed it with absinthe and maybe a bit of petrol, this is what this tastes like. It doesn't smell like petrol. It smells like chocolate, but it tastes like chocolate sauce mixed with absinthe and petrol.
All right, let's.
Fucking God, this is awful.
Oh, brilliant! So this video is intended to give Tony an idea of what might be worth watching on Disney+.
I'm not going to remember it.
That is Star Wars content. we're gonna breeze through it and give an overview of about 20 or so different things. We're not going to go into massive amount of depth, just what we've watched, what we think of them, whether or not they're worth watching. Some of this stuff you'll know, some of this stuff you won't know. Be warned, there were probably going to be spoilers for things ranging to stuff that is airing right now, all the way back to stuff that aired in 1977. So spoiler warnings given. This is fucking Star Wars, mate.
Before we go any further, I feel like I should give a kind of baseline of what I know.
Okay.
Right. So I've seen the original trilogy of movies.
Mm-hmm.
And they were quite good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen the prequel trilogy of movies, and apart from being weird and creepy, some of the bits on them weren't completely awful. I like Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan.
Yeah. All right.
He made quite a good Obi-Wan.
He's taking his glasses off. You crying?
Yeah. I've seen Rogue One, and I like that.
Yeah.
I've seen The Force Awakens, and I didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen the one after that, and I can't remember its name.
The Last Jedi.
And I really didn't like that.
That's the best analogy for The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi I've ever heard. I've seen so many people
and you've not bothered watching the last one
on YouTube. It really just needed you to say it like that's all we needed.
Okay. So this is not.
What I was saying now.
You were going through a basis of your experience with Star Wars.
At that point, I pretty much got Star Wars and kept the original trilogy in that special place in my heart, and then put everything else in the bin.
Okay.
Can I tell you something that I've just been right on that subject, right? Back like before Disney did Star Wars, I bought the 6-movie edition of Blu-ray, like the first 3 and 4, 5, and 6. And like when they announced they were going to do more, I was like, oh man, I wish I'd waited and I got all 9 movies. But now I'm like, those 6 are my movies. I don't give a shit about 7, 8, and 9.
So I also bought that set of the 6 in the Blu-ray as well, but I do have DVD copies of the original trilogy before Lucas fucked with them again.
Well, really,
see, I've got VHS of the original trilogy.
Nice.
And I've got 2 versions. I've got the pre-Lucas, and then I've got the special edition, which was around, 98, 99?
Mid to late 90s, yeah.
I
remember that because I took the opportunity to go and watch them in the cinema for the first time. And they were watching Return of the Jedi in the cinema. It was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, to be honest, I like the first one. It's not my favourite, but I think it gets a bit too much. Some of the CGI, didn't quite fit. And the whole hand shot first thing is a thing, and he did. But I don't think he fucked them up. Some people, he ruined them.
No, he didn't.
I think that's a little bit dramatic.
He tweaked them, certainly, but yeah.
He tweaked them. People don't like people who tweak things. It's like Ridley Scott and Blade Runner.
Which we've done in another video, and we're not going to discuss here, because then we'll go off on that tangent for another half an hour.
Right, we're going to be here forever if we don't let you get on.
This is not presented in a watching order. This is presented in timeline order.
Okay.
Just getting that out there. So
have you got like these are the ones, have you got like a grading of watch this, don't watch this, yeah?
Yeah. I'll give you my opinion on that. John will give you his for the ones he's watched, and we'll see where it goes. And the audience
can you do it in kind of a Roman emperor thumbs up and thumbs down?
We can. Sounds like
if you want, sure. So in the timeline, you've got episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which is baby Anakin's first little debut, obviously. So rewatching this these days, I like watch a bit, skip a bit, watch a bit, skip a bit, watch a bit. And the bits I watch are the opening sequence, the pod racing, and the Darth Maul fight at the end. And I just like fast forward through everything else these days.
So recommendation?
Can
I say that my 3-year-old really enjoyed this, and her favourite character was a Jar Jar?
That's exactly why Lucas made it. That's what he made it to be. We finished watching it like an hour later. She was like, "Daddy, Jar Jar Binks," and I was like, "Oh God, what have I started?" I mean, Darth Maul was amazing. Liam Neeson was great as Qui-Gon. He was a wonderful character.
He was good at Qui-Gon.
Obi-Wan Ewan McGregor grew into his role. In this one, occasionally he was good, and other times. But I'll tell you what, my favourite thing from this film was. Apart from the one-liners from Obi-Wan, which were spectacular. Negotiations were quick. it's the battle droids and the interactions and the Easter eggs with the battle droids. The animators clearly had so much fun putting them in there and giving them all such a person, because droids aren't necessarily, you know, key personality things, but those ones had so much like life to them. I thought they were fantastically done, like really impressively.
I also thought Natalie Portman and Padme was really well done in this film as well. I thought she was a very good character.
It's a bit creepy when you think the whole, like, she's like 20 and Anakin's like 6.
Yeah, there is that.
You know, I know like the age gap when they're adults is a bit different, but
in this one, yeah, you're not wrong. So yeah, this one, sort of middling for me.
Yeah. Are you an angel? What the fuck?
The dialogue in that one had some problems. We'll give it that, right?
Moving on.
John, you haven't rated that last one.
All right, sorry.
I mean, Phantom Menace. Would I recommend you watch it these days? Probably not. If you've got kids.
If you've not watched it before, it's worth watching.
Yeah,
I showed it to my wife.
You watch it once.
Yeah,
I genuinely made. It was all right actually. I think she quite enjoyed it. She wants to watch the other ones after she watched it. So coming to it blind.
That's a fair base.
She's never seen any of Star Wars. She seemed to quite like it.
We'll take that. All right, moving on. This is a recent animated series that Disney Plus have done. It's
that man has a penis on his face.
It's a
penis.
This is basically a prequel to episode 2. It's not going to mean a lot to you if you've not watched episode 2. It's not going to mean a lot to you if you've not watched the Clone Wars cartoon series. But the two central characters in there, the character on the left is a young lady called Ahsoka Tano. The character on the right is a character called Count Dooku. And this is their origins and who and what they were before episode 2 happens.
Count Penis Face.
I mean, technically, now you mention it enough, I see it.
It's really well done. I rate it.
It's really staring you in the face, you know?
Yeah, this is a good one. I like it.
Okay.
Who's the guy with the green lightsaber?
Who?
Liam Neeson's character, top right.
The top right.
The one that's not Yoda.
That's not Yoda either. The top right is young Qui-Gon Jinn, who was Count Dooku's Padawan.
So is this set before episode 1 then? Because of course,
it's got to be before episode 1. You're right, because it's young Qui-Gon. Oh fuck! I've put it in the wrong order. All right, my apologies.
But then that looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi on the right hand side, and that's adult Obi-Wan.
It's not Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's a female of his species, and her name is Yaddle.
Sorry, so that's a female of Obi-Wan Kenobi species.
What? No, it's a female of Yoda species.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the one on the right hand side. Is clearly adult Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah, because he features in Ahsoka Tano's story.
So this is like 2 timelines at once, then, is that?
Yeah, Ahsoka in the Clone Wars series is Jedi Anakin's Padawan learner after episode 2. But it's her origin story from before that, before she came to join the Jedi Order.
Really? Because like in episode 2, he seemed like a delinquent child. I certainly wouldn't put him in charge of anybody else.
I was going to say the first episode of this is Ahsoka's being born or something. It's like she's like a toddler in the first episode.
Who trusted him with a Padawan?
Obi-Wan did.
He's a fucking mentalist, though.
It's worth a watch.
He's like, I'm only 17, but I should be in charge of other people.
Yeah, he didn't want it either at the time. He's a bit of a hotshot. What can we say?
Clearly, in that respect, he was probably precognizant. He knew that was a stupid idea.
Moving on. Episode 2.
You haven't ranked the last one yet.
Yes, I did. I said that.
You said thumbs up.
Fine.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, but John hasn't ranked it.
I only seen one episode, and so I'm in the middle. I don't have an up or down. I only saw the first episode so far.
So do watch it, because I haven't seen this.
I rate it. I think it's very well done. I think it's worth watching.
Okay.
All right then. I'll add it to my list.
Cool. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. I mean, it's a big fight with Jedi versus robots, isn't it, really? There's a little bit of politics and shit in there, and there's Jango Fett who gets his head chopped off.
Attack of the Clones was an okay movie if we think of the first 3, episode 1, episode 2 of episode 3. I think they got stronger as they went on. So I'd say this is stronger than the Phantom Menace, and I guess it's the one that really introduces Dooku as the...
Well, it does introduce Dooku, yeah.
See, I have seen this one, and kind of my feelings towards it are the battle at the end is cool. All the bits with Obi-Wan in it are cool. All the bits with not Obi-Wan in it should be fast forwarded and pretend it didn't exist. With all that weird kissy, lovey, we don't care about age gaps.
the
You
bit
probably
where she's
groomed
in
me as
the
a
black
child.
seductive dress going, "We can't be together, Anakin." And he's like, "Sand is coarse. It gets in all sorts of places."
So I would say that there's probably half an hour of really good movie in this.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
If you've not watched it, it's worth a watch. I wouldn't rewatch it. There's stuff in there that's important and useful to know, and it's not a completely shit film.
Yeah, I'll rewatch it with my kids. Beyond that, I'll never rewatch it.
Yeah. Like I think with Anakin at the beginning, and that really forced camaraderie with Obi-Wan. And it's just like, shut up, you fucking child.
That's kind of the point, to be fair.
It might be because I deal with teenagers and he just comes across as a twat.
Oh, there's that assassination attempt, isn't there?
Yeah. I can feel everything going on in that room, Master.
Yeah.
I bet you can. That's why you want me to go away, because you've got the CCTV on and a box of tissues.
Don't need CCTV. I can feel her through the force.
Jeez, it's just creepy.
It is.
That guy's creepy, and Princess Amidala, or whatever she's now called, are they the same person?
Senator Amidala. Yes, they are.
I know, but then why would she... So is her name Padme Amidala?
Yes.
Yes.
Because if it is, then the whole body double thing from the first film was a whole fucking waste of time. Because everyone's like, hang on, why has this woman got a handmaiden with the same fucking name that she's got? It's going to give the game away. You know, people might realise there's something funny when the Queen's person next to her has got the same fucking name.
I mean, Lucas was never really known for his strong writing, you know? That wasn't like why we watched Star Wars, was it? It was like, wow, the dialogue in this movie is great.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly a groomer.
All right, so, yeah.
Okay. I mean, she was in the second movie for a minute at the start.
That was a different bodyguard. Who died really quickly in the explosion. Yeah.
I'll tell you what I do like, and actually this goes for all three of these movies, the Naboo ships, you know, the big silver ones.
Yeah.
Every single one, because there's 3 different ones in the 3 movies, look amazing for spaceship design. Like, so cool. Like, transcending the movie levels of cool.
Good, because there's one of them in The Mandalorian that we'll get to later.
Is that cool?
Yeah. Right, so have you got all the verdicts you want off this one?
John, have you ranked it yet? Sorry, I didn't see.
I said, yeah, I'll watch it again with my kids. If you've not seen it, watch it. I'm a weak thumbs up.
Okay, cool. Next up, The Clone Wars. Fucking brilliant. It's an animated series that has involved part of the people who are responsible for Avatar: The Last Airbender, and Korra cartoon series, which were really mature for their time, even though they're cartoons for kids. It's 6 or 7 cartoon series that follow on. It covers the gap between episodes 2 and 3. It introduces Ahsoka as Anakin's Padawan, and it just covers so much stuff. The plot arcs are great with the clones. Anakin as a Jedi actually starts to make sense in this series. Obi-Wan's as good as he ever is. I love it. It's great.
So has he not got a Padawan after? He's just like, that dickhead was far too much like hard work. I'm not doing it again. You have this woman. You deal with it. I'm not dealing with it again.
So
or has he got like another secret one?
No, he's promoted to Jedi Knight at this point. He's off. He's doing his own thing quite happily. He's no longer.
I thought you had to be a Jedi Knight to have a Padawan.
I think they made an exception for his case because he's the special chosen one or something.
Yeah, maybe.
And they gave him Padawan to help teach him responsibility. But
and
frankly,
Obi-Wan just doesn't want any more, so screw it. I'm
they still act as like partners in almost all way, every way, and he's basically still his mentor at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Obi-Wan doesn't have his a Padawan because it's wartime.
He's a mentalist.
Well, I think it's because it's wartime. Yeah, he's a general in the army. He's too busy, I guess.
But the real hero is absolutely Ahsoka. She is so wonderful.
I was going to say, I thought Clone Wars got a lot stronger when they brought in Darth Maul and his brother.
Yeah, they do a plot line where Darth Maul comes back. They become crime lords. They go to the planet where Darth Maul comes from. And they go and be crime lords on Mandalore and fuck over the Mandalorians. It's brilliant. It's great.
but there's also there's a brilliant episode. One of my favorite episodes actually was like so Darth Maul's brother is called Savage Opress, and he's played by Clancy Brown, who was the Krugan in the original Highlander. So he's got such a good voice for it, right?
Oh yeah.
And there's an episode where Dooku is training him, similar to like Luke got trained, lifting the rocks, standing on your head, but it's from a dark side perspective. So when like Savage fails to lift the rocks or something, he just gets force lightning rather than like try again, do or do not. It's just like, fuck you, you failed. And Dooku's just like force lightning him, and it's like the same. It's like the Jedi training but with force lightning. I actually loved that episode. So for me, I like the Clone Wars. So that was good.
So a couple of questions then.
Yep.
That aren't me just taking the piss.
Okay.
Is that Yoda, or is that female Yoda we saw in the previous?
That is Yoda. Yaddle is now dead at this point.
Yaddle is dead. That's Yoda. Okay. And the other question is, are the voice actors the same as the movies?
No.
Or are they just sound-alikes, or do they just go in a totally different way?
They are sound-alikes, but they do really good. The clones is Temuera, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the clones are the guy from the movie. So the guy that plays Boba Fett / Jango Fett / all the clones in the movie.
Voices all the clones, yeah.
He is all the clones. For Obi-Wan and Anakin, they have other voice actors, but I think over time you'll get used to them. They're pretty decent.
And the guy who does Obi-Wan does a good enough job that you'll not have a problem with it.
Yeah, you kind of forget that they're not the movie actors, I guess.
Shit.
Yeah, and they added a bonus season that was never there. They actually got to finish it with Disney Plus.
Up to during the final season, Order 66 happens. And you see how it affects all the Jedi all around that aren't shown in the film, and where they all go from there.
Yeah, that's
quite a bit. Is this
not
like an overriding plot, or is it like individual episodes that stand alone? Is it
both? The plot runs from the end of episode 2 all the way to execute Order 66. There are coherent story arcs through the seasons and across the seasons, and there are individual episodes that do their own little things as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So verdict, Mark.
Fuck yeah.
So, but 2 big thumbs up.
7 seasons though, so it's quite a haul. I think
it's worth it. It's worth it.
Fair enough.
You'll be watching Star Wars the rest of the year, but yeah.
Each episode is only half an hour. They're not big investments. Next up, you've got You Are the Chosen One.
If you're not with me, you're against me.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Which makes no sense at all. You absolutely can't somersault over a man with a laser sword.
It's all right.
You can't say that. You're not a Sith.
It's over. I have the high ground.
He has a high ground loads of times in that. I never understood it. It's like all through the whole fighting, there's bits where they're above each other like that, and it's cool. There's lots of lights, but it's like no. But this time,
hold on a second. I have something serious to tell you about the high ground.
All right, go on.
When you're rewatching Star Wars, when you get to Empire Strikes Back, and Darth Vader is fighting Luke, and you remember he pushes him into the freezing machine and goes like all too easy, yeah? And Luke jumps out. About 2 seconds later in that fight, Luke is at the top of the stairs and Darth Vader's at the bottom of the stairs, and Darth Vader says to Luke, I see Obi-Wan has taught you well. And like that's like next level, like he's on the high ground. So watch it again and then you'll realise he's like, oh shit, I've been here before. And I had a body back then.
The space battle at the beginning of the film was very impressive to watch, I'll give it that. The assaulting the ship was a bit silly in places, rescuing the Palpatine was alright.
This movie was probably...
At no point does he think, I probably shouldn't just wildly hack this guy's head off.
Yeah.
That sounds evil.
I ever tell you the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
I liked a lot about this movie, right? I felt like we missed the whole bit where Grievous, like in the cartoon, like going into this movie to the cinema, I was expecting to see him get abducted because we'd seen it in the Clone Wars cartoon at that point. And they never tell you why Grievous is coughing or whatnot. And in the Clone War cartoon, Samuel Jackson like crushed his chest, Force crushed his chest or something. So it seemed like it focused on the.
Sorry.
I thought Grievous was a bit disappointing in this. It builds up and he's like so cool, and then Obi-Wan just kicks the fuck out of him and moves on with his life.
Grievous is a constant presence throughout the Clone Wars cartoon series. He's badass in places, he's shit in places. You get to see his home, you get to see where he came from and all this sort of stuff. It adds a lot of weight to this, but without that weight...
Did the series come out before this? Or
no, the series came out after this, long after this.
So that like filled it, backfilled in his story.
Yeah, just like this was backfilling the other stuff. Yeah. So again, if you've not watched it, absolutely watched it. So much important stuff goes on. If you want to rewatch it, it's all right.
Yeah, it's the best of the original. It's the best of the first three, not the original.
I'll go with that.
So yeah.
Anakin's still a whiny bitch,
obviously.
Yeah,
and at times just stupid.
Yes,
like there's nothing else you could say. Like, are you fucking stupid? Comes up quite a lot when you're watching this.
Yeah.
Now maybe it wouldn't when I was a kid. I don't remember, but certainly watching it as an adult, I'm thinking, are you fucking stupid? Like, that seems like a really stupid plan.
Okay, we got what we want from this one. Should we move on?
We shall.
Go.
All right.
Oh, John, you haven't given it a thumbs up or thumbs down.
I did. It's okay.
Oh, right,
thumbs up.
Okay. The Bad Batch. The Bad Batch are a unit of clones who came out a little bit mutated, a little bit weird, a little bit wrong. But because of that, they are the most effective special forces unit the Empire and Republic has. And they're like a sniper expert and a heavy demolitions expert and a Rambo expert and all this sort of stuff. They're introduced in an episode or two in the Clone Wars, and then the Bad Batch TV cartoon series takes place after Order 66. And because they're a little bit wonky, they don't suffer the full effects of Order 66. So they're doing their own thing as the Republic is turning into the Empire, and this series chronicles that.
I haven't watched all of it. I've only watched a bit of it, but what I did watch, I did enjoy.
They're halfway through season 2 at the moment, and yeah, it's fun. It's not brilliant, but it's fun.
So hang on, I don't quite understand what you said there. They don't suffer the full effects of Order 66.
So Order 66 is basically they have a micro. If you watch Clone Wars, they'll find out that all the clones have that like chip in their head that when they say Order 66,
they're not hypno-implanted. They've got chips in their brains.
Yeah.
I thought they just got an order. They knew what Order 66 was, and it was kill all the Jedi's, dudes. And they're like, all right.
It comes from a chip in their brain, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like a conscious. They don't get to make the decision of I'm going to follow orders. It's just they have a magic chip that makes them do whatever they're told.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Because it says in episode 2 that they're more suggestive, and I thought that just meant that they did what they were told, but actually they've got a physical.
Yeah, the Empire.
It's
the Emperor.
Yeah,
I was going to say the Emperor put this chip in all the clones, so he had ultimate control. I guess
through his servant Dooku / Darth Tyrannus made the cloners put these chips in the heads of all the clones that they were making and not tell anyone.
But these guys don't have that chip.
They do, but they're sort of like mutated Bad Batch of clones, so they're not really susceptible to it. So they don't follow Order 66, and they're still following the premises of the actual Republic rather than turning into the Empire.
If you watch Clone Wars, there's a whole episode on them. Some of the clones finding out about the chip, and I think it's 5s. They try and take the chip out of him, and he dies or something, and then they realize they can't get the chips out without killing the clones. I thought these guys hadn't had the chips in their heads, so they just have the chip. It just doesn't have full control over them like the other ones, I guess.
One of them does get affected to a degree, and that gets explored in the plot through the series that I've not fully watched yet because it's not fully out yet. So,
is there any of these? Maybe I'm jumping ahead. Is there any of these that kind of explain the change from these clones to stormtroopers? Because stormtroopers are also clones.
And that is being covered in the Bad Batch series. They're seeing their mates, their family, their clone troopers, all being retired off and being replaced by stormtroopers during the course of the Bad Batch series.
Are stormtroopers also clones of the same guy, or are they just totally different things?
Stormtroopers are people trained and brainwashed and wearing armor. They are different to clone troopers.
So they're not clones anymore, because they used to be clones.
Correct.
And I'm going back a long way, but they were clones. That was
they were all clones.
Yeah, stormtroopers.
But they're not clones anymore.
In this continuity, stormtroopers are not clones.
Yeah, by the time we get to episode 4, they're not clones.
Don't know why.
They've just got rid of the clone stormtroopers.
Somehow, I can't explain it fully.
Recruited and become stormtroopers.
Because, like I say, I've not watched this series yet. It's still progressing.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it's just because I'm not remembering back. But stormtroopers are clones, but they're not these clones. So where do they come from?
Yeah, stormtroopers are not clones.
So just get rid of it. They've just fuck it, get rid of that. Stormtroopers are recruited. And now we've decided that the whole cloning thing was a bad plan. We're going to have stormtroopers instead.
Yeah. Not entirely sure why. I'm hoping that gets covered in the series. I'll watch it and I'll find out. Hopefully.
That's quite a change because they were clones for a very long time.
I saw an episode. I haven't watched all of season 1 of Bad Batch, and I guess there's definitely a spoiler for Bad Batch, which is airing right now. I thought I saw that Kamino got destroyed in Bad Batch or something like that.
At the very end of the first series of Bad Batch, is Kamino being, as I understand it, blown up? Yes.
So there's no Kaminians left to make more clones, so stormtroopers have to be people. Is that not the deal?
This is getting into really meta Star Wars shit here. Some of which was pre-universe, before it all got retconned and turned into Disney stuff.
I think that's what's confusing me, because whilst I've not seen much Star Wars, I did read extensively the old now.
Have you read
it in the bin?
Have you read the original Thrawn trilogy?
Yes,
I have.
At the end of the Bad Batch first season, clone tanks are taken from Kamino. I've read this somewhere. I've not watched it, and installed in a place that is hinted heavily to be Mount Tantis, the place where Thrawn does the cloning.
Okay,
right.
And it is hinted heavily that that's going to be used in the stuff to do Thrawn stuff. Or to do the recloning of the Emperor in the films that come on later that we don't like. That shit.
Because I have to admit that part of my problem with the new stuff is that I was so fond of the old stuff, and I didn't like the retcons and changes they made to the characters.
They're slowly backfilling some of the expanded universe stuff in to the current continuity, which I quite like. And
I was really upset with what they did to Wedge.
Yeah, it's fair. Those X-Wing books were great, but we're kind of
they're still my favourite.
This is getting longer. Which is fine, as far as I'm concerned. So the Bad Batch from me, having not seen all of it, I can't give you a fully qualified one, but what I've seen, I like, and I'm going to carry on watching more of it.
Yeah, I mean,
I like that guy's headband.
I was going to say I'll watch more of it. I'm just not there yet.
So the guy with the headband is the John Rambo leader of the lot. Yeah, there you go.
Love it.
The Han Solo movie.
I mean, I liked it just because he faked having a thermal detonator. I was kind of on board at that point.
It was fun to watch. The high scene was good. The bit through the Kessel Run explaining why parsecs are a measure of distance rather than time was
I
good.
bet they had to do some fucking complicated shit to get around that problem, because they are distinctly different things.
Hearing how Han Solo is given his name was fucking cheesy as all balls, but it was a fun film.
So is Han Solo not his name then?
Han was his name. He gets given the name Solo by some random guy at a spaceport because he doesn't have a surname and they've got to put one on his file. And he goes, I shall call you Solo because you're alone.
Yeah, there was some fun bits in the movie. If we're talking about the Disney movies, this one gets so much hate. People said this one is the reason Disney stopped making movies. I don't think this one was bad at all. This was a fun standalone movie that was fine. It wasn't brilliant. It was fine. No one came out of this movie nearly as upset as they came out of The Last Jedi, or I forget the name of the ninth movie. Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
So I came out of this movie
just
thinking,
because people think Harrison Ford is Han Solo, and they just didn't like the fact that they've given it to some random other guy.
I think so. Yeah.
It also came out like 5 months after The Last Jedi, and you yourself just said at the start of this movie, like, The Last Jedi was a terrible Star Wars movie. I have friends that watched The Last Jedi and said that they liked it. It was like You remember there was even a quote from the only line I remember from Last Jedi was like, everything that you just said was wrong or something like that. That's what I felt about the movie. Everything in this fucking movie was wrong. This movie came out 5 months after, and
so
people didn't go and see it because of that, I think.
I liked most of The Last Jedi, but I'm going to leave this discussion until we get to that.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But okay. I think maybe John's got something in it, because that certainly left a bad... Because I did go and see Rogue One, and I did enjoy it. I was on a bit of a high, and then I saw Last Jedi. It was the worst film I could possibly imagine. It was like,
plus they were being released at 6 month intervals as well, when you had like gaps of years otherwise. So maybe you're becoming saturated.
After that, Star Wars could go in the bin, and I had absolutely no interest in this movie. Like none at all. Just did not care. It wasn't that I wanted it to be Harrison Ford. Of course I do. But even if it had been Harrison Ford, I think I probably wouldn't have gone and seen it, because by this point, Star Wars was dead. I've walked away.
Fair enough.
You're hitting the nail on the head here for me, actually, because I remember this movie came out and I was basically where you were, and like it had been out for a month, so it was like the last week it was in the cinema. I remember saying to my wife, I was like, we should go and it's Star Wars, right? Like, let's just go and see it. And we went to the cinema, and the cinema was totally dead. But like, I guess a lot of people were just like, the Last Jedi movie has turned people off.
You're making me want to rewatch this now. I mean, it didn't set the world on fire, but it was a fun film.
I bought it on 4K. That's how much I liked it.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
Has it got Chewbacca in it or not?
Yes, and he's the star of the show. I love Chewbacca in this.
Is it still Peter Mayhew?
It was for a little bit. And look, Chewie had these cool goggles.
And beaver teeth.
Oh, I mean, it's a bubblehead, so what can you expect? It's like the only bubblehead I own. So it must have been reasonable if I owned the bubblehead.
Have we got what we wanted out of this one? Shall we?
Yeah, but you haven't given it a rating yet. So big thumbs up from John, and the thumbs up from Mark as well.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Maybe I shall.
It's not set the world on fire, but I'm going to rewatch it because
they kept. Kathleen Kennedy kept talking about Star Wars fatigue, and I was like, "There's nothing. I have no Star Wars fatigue. You just need to not make shit movies. How about that?" This one has
a bit of fatigue. I think there's a bit.
Well, I don't. I mean, I watch Star Wars all the time. It's like one of my favorite franchises.
Next up, we got the TV series Obi-Wan Kenobi, which covers some of what Obi-Wan was doing in the desert while he was waiting for Luke to grow up. And it's not the best series in the world, but it's not the worst series in the world either. He has some good fights against Darth Vader. There's a bit of a bait and switch takes place in here, which is a little bit of a spoiler, but it gets spoiling like the first fucking 5 minutes of the film, so of the series. So I'm not going to say that much about it. You think that it's going to be about Luke and protecting Luke on the planet, and it's not. He's in it for 5 minutes. The whole series about Obi-Wan and Leia. This is where the relationship between Obi-Wan and Leia comes from, and this is why she calls on him at the start of episode 4.
Okay, so it sort of fills in that little bit of a plot hole that was created.
Yeah.
Because I don't know much about this. I know that it's got Obi-Wan Kenobi in it, who is cool. Very cool. I like Ewan McGregor a lot.
Yeah.
But the things that I've heard, and you can debunk them, I think it's a really good way of doing it, because other people are going to be coming at this in the same way. I've heard that the little bit with Darth Vader in it was a bit of, again, another bit of a bait and switch, because he's not really in it. It was just in the trailer. It's like, this is the cool bit in the trailer. It's not actually in the series, really.
No,
that bit is the only real...
Vader is substantially in the series.
Yeah. And so he is in the series. It's not...
Oh, yeah.
Because I heard it's like a new character they've invented for the series.
There is a new character as well. Yes.
I've heard that Obi-Wan himself is not actually in the series all that much.
Oh,
he's in it all the time.
Yeah.
So he's in it all the time. And I've seen a clip, and people have told me that some of it's a bit silly with Leia. So there's like this clip that I've seen where it's like she's a tiny, tiny child, but can outrun loads of like trained soldiers and everything else. Like she's a tiny child, they can't possibly touch her. She's super. It doesn't make any sense at all. I just saw this clip of her just like running through woods and you can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. Sort of like insanity.
Okay,
going on. It's like you're 5 years old.
She tries
to run away. If you've raised a 5-year-old, they ain't quick.
So
they
she tries to run away,
quick,
and they catch her really quickly.
Yeah, she doesn't you let them win because then they feel better, but little kids aren't like the most athletic.
No, there are some silly moments, but no, I can debunk all of that.
Okay, so that now appeals to me a bit more.
I felt like I enjoyed the series, but there was an excruciating amount of filler.
Yeah.
And there was like this is the thing that they keep saying about like, and I think this goes back to my point of like them saying like people are getting turned off of Star Wars. No, people are getting turned off for shitty writing. Like, I just watched Wakanda Forever, right? I didn't care too much about the movie, but I never came out of any of it going, well, that was really fucking stupid. Why didn't they just use that? And there's a bit in the Obi-Wan series where like they're in a bunker, right? There's like 50 stormtroopers outside the bunker.
Spoiler, because
no,
I haven't seen it, and I do want to.
It's like they wait until like really near the end of the fight, and then she's like, I have this thermal detonator. And I was like, mother, that would have been like so useful half an hour ago, you know? And it's like, you know, and it's like, that's the thing that they keep doing with Star Wars, is they're doing these stupid things. Yeah.
There's one series where they don't, that we're going to get to very soon.
Yeah. But so overall, I'll say watch Obi-Wan. The bits with him and Ewan McGregor, the bits between Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, like that show, because there's a few bits they act together and stuff. That stuff's really good. There was too much filler, and there was some questionable bits going on as well.
Overall, I enjoyed it.
But yeah, I'll give it a thumbs up. But it wasn't the best. Maybe our expectations were really high because Ewan McGregor looks awesome and he's coming back. So
yeah, and
it was going to be hard.
Mandalorian and whatnot. But yeah.
But I mean, if they did a second season, I would watch it. I just think that whoever's doing these questionable writing, and I think that's my problem with movie 7, 8, 9
I don't think they could do
well.
a second season. They tied the story arcs up fairly solidly. But you got what you want from this one, Tony?
I think so. I think you've given me it is worth watching, and it's not as bad as people made out, because that did turn me off a little bit, to be honest.
No, cool.
Because I love the character, and you know.
Yeah. All right. Star Wars Rebels is another cartoon series made by the exact same crew who made the Clone Wars cartoon series. There's a bunch of rebels taking part in the formation of the rebellion, right up to the start of Rogue One and alongside the start of Rogue One. And yeah, it's good. It's fun.
I think I like Rebels more than Clone Wars.
Really? Because that robot with the funny little arm sticking out of his head looks fucking stupid.
He is annoying as fuck. He's like R2 if he had less self-control and more hatred for fucking everyone. And he will mess you up, and I don't care about any consequences whatsoever. That is a dick of a robot. His name is, I can't remember his name. Chopper.
Yeah. I know R2's got personality. It's like BB-8 is like, if you got R2 and removed anything that's good about him.
No, Chopper has so much personality.
So the young lady on the left is a Mandalorian called Sabine Wren, who's a Mandalorian warrior who likes spray painting things. The guy on the left is a former Padawan survivor of Execute 66. The guy in the middle is a Force-sensitive kid. The woman on the right is the pilot and leader of the team, and the thing on the right is a sort of like big muscle brute warrior type.
They have just to put into context, if you've seen Rogue One, yes? So when they're in the base at the end of Rogue One, just before they do like the final attack on Scarif, there's a call that goes over the tannoy that says like Commander Syndulla to the whatever briefing room. Commander Syndulla is the Twi'lek there, and you actually see her ship, because it's called the Ghost, in the fight over Rogue One. So above Scarif, I guess it's implied that they're there fighting the good fight in the space battle, helping the rebels.
Wedge Antilles is recruited from an Empire academy into the rebels in this series. It's a 4-series cartoon series. And this is also the series that brings Grand Admiral Thrawn into current continuity.
Oh yeah, he's
so. Is this new Star Wars or old Star Wars? I don't know.
It's It's 5 years before A New Hope.
No, I mean, like, is this Disney continuity Star Wars?
Yes.
The person who made this.
So it's shit Wedge, not good Wedge.
At this point, it's kind of irrelevant because it's pre him being a fighter ace in the Rebel Alliance kind of Wedge, but it's still Wedge.
Yeah, it's still Wedge.
Because he's the greatest pilot in the Rebellion.
I was going to say,
at this point,
I recommend Rebels. I'm actually starting my 3-year-old on it now. We're actually watching season 1.
It's exceptional. And the guy they've got playing Thrawn He's Mads Mikkelsen's brother, Lars Mikkelsen. He does such a good job playing Thrawn. Oh my god, it's amazing.
The Emperor and Vader are in this series as well. So are a bunch of like clones that you meet from Clone Wars, and
Ahsoka will appear. Former clones who are doing their thing will appear. It's a lot of stuff.
There's even some appearances of the likes of like Yoda in that when they find like holocrons and Jedi temples. So
it's so influential that the guy who made this in the Clone Wars got hired on to do the Mandalorian, and it does that in concert with Jon Favreau.
Right, because I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the picture and stuff like that, and this looks like a kiddie show.
It looks like that. It was marketed as such. It's really not.
That's what I thought.
Because the moment somebody says a teenage hero, I'm like, and moving on.
The humor in it is just on point. Like, it's timeless. It's like the original movies. Like, this to me is probably the best Star Wars content they've made out of the original 3 movies. Obviously, this came out before like Mandalorian and the new one Andor, but before those 2 had come out, I would say this is the best that they'd made since
all the continuity introduced in Clone Wars and Rebels, Mandalorian. It's all linked in together because it's all the same people making it and doing it successfully. Okay.
And last question then. You said that person on the left is a Mandalorian. Is a Mandalorian like a different species then? Because in like
Mandalore is a planet. Mandalorians are the people from that planet.
But are they humans or not humans?
They're humans. Yes.
Okay.
In the same way Brummies are from Birmingham, Mandalorians are from Mandalore.
I understand that. I just thought that the person on the left there was an alien.
No, she's human.
Are you seeing it backwards?
No. I know. No, I don't mean the black and white guy with the weird beard. I mean the girl with the
coloured hair.
The coloured hair and the, like green skin.
No,
greenish yellow skin.
That's just slightly different colour human skin.
She's next to the lightsaber. It's called the blue of lightsaber will be shining onto her skin now.
Yeah.
Object source lighting. You should know that, being such a pro painter.
Okay.
I never noticed anything abnormal about her skin colour.
I mean, all their skin.
Sorry, it's the proportions of that to me made it look like she was like some sort of like alien species or something.
No, she's
it's just the sort of the posing and the.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Moving on. This has been quite rightly hailed as if Star Wars was made for the fans who'd grown up and took itself fucking seriously.
And
as it is so good.
People are not watching this, for example, though, right? Like my brother is a Star Wars fan of the 70s, and he's not watching it because he's like, I'm done with Star Wars. They've made too much shit recently. And that's why I was trying to say to you, it's like it's not Star Wars fatigue, it's they need to stop making shit because like my brother, I've tried so many times, hey Mark, watch this, hey watch this, it's good, watch this, because it was 12 episodes.
It's a slow start. The first 2 hours of the first 2 episodes, first 2 hours are very slow going. The third one absolutely kicks into high gear, and then you go from there to a fucking multi-episode heist, to a multi-episode jailbreak, to a climax of rebellion stuff, and it treats it all with such respect and gravitas. There's no Jedi in it. It's all about the evils done to the people in the galaxy, and it is incredible.
Yeah, and if you like the Cassian in Rogue One, because it's the same character, then
I didn't. I thought he was a dick. I thought he was a dick in this. I don't like the character at all.
I mean,
it's not liking the character and think. I thought the character was well written.
Yeah, I don't like the character as a person. In that regard, yes, you're right.
But I thought as a character, he had in Rogue One when I saw him, I thought he came across as what he was supposed to be.
Yeah,
he was that absolutely that consummate kind of like win at all costs, professional. Ends justify the means sort of guy, and I thought
that was his story from childhood to joining the rebellion and becoming that person in Rogue One.
That's why I liked Rogue One so much, because it was so refreshing to have that adult character in it, not just a silly caricature.
So far, they've done series 1 of 2, covering half of his story. Series 2 is going to take us right up to the beginning of Rogue One, I'm given to understand.
Yeah, and there were some huge standouts in this, in that Forrest Whitaker was brilliant, Andy Serkis was brilliant.
Oh, so good.
And
Stellan Skarsgård performance as amazing. He's the guy in the hood pointing the gun. The
She
lady
was
playing
amazing
Mon
as well.
Mothma. There's just so much good stuff in this.
Yeah, it's the same actress from episode 3 that played Mon Mothma in episode 3. Although she had like a bit part in episode 3, it's the same actress.
Yeah,
I can't even remember her in it, to be honest.
She was in it for like 2 scenes, but yeah. This is definitely, I mean, this is a huge thumbs up for me. I just wish they'd released this earlier, because if they'd released this, say, before Obi-Wan, people would have probably been like, it's okay, Obi-Wan's a bit meh, because this is actually a better series.
I think they thought they taking a risk in making it, to be honest.
What, this?
I think that's what they thought.
It's aimed at adults, not families or kids.
Because it's a hold no punches kind of a series.
When I watch Star Wars, or when I watched Rogue One, and like, you remember at the end of Rogue One when they were downloading the plans and all that, it was like the 1980s computer screens. Yeah. That's my Star Wars. That's what I grew up with, and this just that's what Star Wars is to me. So I'll tell you all the things I hate about episodes 7, 8, and 9. Do not worry, I have a list.
No, I won't tell everything. We don't want to waste half an hour on each of those. But yeah, cool. So
I'll tell you some of them.
Okay, let's keep going then, because we're going to be here all day.
Indeed, that's Andor.
This is supposed to be our little episode. We've also filmed an actual Grots episode tonight.
I only wanted to spend like a minute or 2 tops on each of these, but yeah, there we go. All right.
Is that girl the girl from the poster of the previous one?
No.
They just look really, really alike.
It's not. She is not in Andor the series at all.
No, but they look the same in the pictures here.
That's fair enough. I mean, yeah, her story is completely start to finish in Rogue One.
Yeah.
I mean, Rogue One's a brilliant film. It's great. Watch it.
Yeah, it's the best Disney movie they made of Star Wars.
I've not got any more to say than that.
Yes.
I like that it had proper stormtroopers and proper Empire, a Death Star. It felt like Star Wars to me, whereas the other ones didn't feel like Star Wars. They felt...
It felt like the Rebel Alliance, because that was the thing with like in the original Star Wars movie, the Rebel Alliance is like the strung. It's a rebels. They're strung out. That's what it felt like. Yeah. And this one felt like that. This felt like the omnipresent empire, or whatever you would call it.
And proper X-wings and proper TIE fighters are absolutely iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Right. We good with this one? Should we move on?
Yeah, of course we are.
Yep. Cool. What more can you say?
I mean, if you don't
watch
New
Hope. I
Hope.
love this poster as well. I love this poster.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Brilliant poster. I mean, this is the Star Wars film. Watch it.
Well, it was just literally
The
Star
only
Wars. That was the name of the movie. I know now we call it Episode 4: A New Hope, but for
that is in the title crawl when you watch it.
But for so long the film was called
Star
Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought it was weird though on that poster the way Luke's got the lightsaber that he never uses throughout the entire movie, apart from that little bit where he's waving it around at a remote.
Yeah, you're not wrong. No,
he never uses a lightsaber. So I always thought it was really weird the way it's got that like pose with the lightsaber and
the very heroic sort of pose, yeah.
And the whole George Lucas apparently knew that Leia was his sister for the whole time. So what the fuck was going on there? If he knew that was always going to be his sister,
I'm sure he didn't tell anyone.
He directed it. He could have been like, "Don't snog her. It's weird.
Obviously,
don't ask why. Just don't do it."
Obviously, Empire's the best of the lot. This kind of hands down. Yeah,
absolutely.
We all know it. Watch it. Moving on. Okay, Return Jedi. Yeah, it's part of the story.
I'm going to say something controversial now.
Oh yeah, go on.
I like Ewoks.
I mean, I liked it when they killed the ETSTs with the planks of wood. I mean, that was pretty infinite.
The big trees and the... Yeah. I know it's ridiculous because little furry teddy bears taking out like these supposedly the crack military force of the entire galaxy.
Did you ever watch the Ewoks cartoon series?
Yes.
Oh god, that's so bad.
I owned the entire Ewoks cartoon series on VHS.
Oh, I'm not sure.
And the movies. And some of it is.
Movies
and the Ewok movies as well. As a little kid, because I was a kid when this came out.
Yeah, it's fair.
It was the best thing ever.
Likewise. Right. So yeah, this is obviously must watch. Moving on. Next up in the timeline is The Mandalorian. The Empire has theoretically been destroyed. The Mandalorian is a story about a Mandalorian bounty hunter who goes around doing bounty hunter style things. And then at the end of the first episode, he comes across something he wasn't expecting, which is a baby Yoda. And then it becomes space dad and kid going on adventures throughout the galaxy.
Right, because I was confused, because I thought The Mandalorian was a prequel, and that actually was Yoda.
No, it is not Yoda.
Okay.
It's a member
And
of
that's
Yoda's
not
species.
Boba Fett. He hasn't got any... Is he related to Boba Fett?
No,
he is just a guy from the same planet that
Because
Boba
Fett's
Fett's
a clone,
father,
isn't he?
Jango Fett, came from.
because
They just
technically
happen to
Boba.
produce a lot of bounty hunters.
Yeah, because Mandalorian's a warrior culture. The planet produced a lot of warriors, and that armor's their kind of sort of like signature style of doing so.
So that ship in the background is not Slave One.
No, it's not. It's just another ship. It's his
It's
personal
called
ship.
the Razor Crest, actually.
Yeah. And he gets another ship a little bit later on, which
It's
is
a
one
better
of the
name.
new
Slave One
ships.
was always a stupid name for a ship.
I
Yeah,
think
which
they've
is why
retconned that.
they haven't retconned it. They just never call it that ever anywhere because they
I
don't want to call it
suspect
slave.
that in modern days, calling a ship slave is probably not okay.
And there's a brilliant episode with some Jawas and a sandcrawler. There's some episode with spiders in an ice.
because that looks like Tatooine,
It is, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is Tatooine. Yeah,
but sand
never-
is so coarse.
I was going to say, I never understood the need to create Jakku, because it could have just been
Yeah.
Tatooine.
but then everything's on Tatooine.
Yeah.
And again,
Yeah,
if they
because
could
it's,
make a planet exactly like it.
Tunisia, and Tunisia was quite cheap to film in.
Yeah. Mandalorian is great to watch. Brilliant. It's not
Season 3 is
as
out next month.
gritty as Andor, but it's still thoroughly good to watch and very good.
So it's just set after Return of the Jedi. It's a standalone thing.
Yeah.
You can watch it. It doesn't tie. Does it tie too tightly in with the other movies and stuff?
It's
or is
now starting to tie in now that it's taken off and they're making more series. But the first series of it is an absolutely totally standalone thing that you can
because I don't want it to tie into The Force Awakens because I want to pretend that doesn't exist.
No. So
It's tying into
And by the
episode
looks
6.
of it, so did Disney.
they're starting to make tiny hints of things that might have led into the sequel trilogy, but I think they're also planning on pretending they don't exist and just carry on making good stories.
It does feel
whilst-
like Disney have sort of decided we'll pretend we didn't make those films,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
because nobody liked them.
basically. Because The Mandalorian has done so well, they bring in grown-up Ahsoka later on. The next series of The Mandalorian, which does start early March, is going to bring in some characters from Star Wars Rebels, the cartoon series.
So hang on, Ahsoka, that's Anakin's Padawan, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Did he not realise he hadn't killed her?
He
was
knew he
searching
didn't kill
for
her.
her.
There's stuff covered in her plot throughout these series. I really want to say more about why her character is so
Okay.
awesome, but it's going to spoil
Alright.
one of the best moments in it, so I don't want to do that.
There is a Ahsoka book that covers her in hiding, if you ever wanted to read it. The book's
Right.
just called Ahsoka.
She
and
pops
it's-
up in
Yeah.
season 2 of The Mandalorian, played by Rosario Dawson, does a really good job.
Yeah.
Um,
So
And-
that whole Vader hunted down and killed all the rest of the Jedi, apart from Obi-Wan and Yoda, actually isn't true.
Well, they
and,
were
and apart from
trying-
all the other ones who
they
got away,
talk
yeah.
about it a few times in the new canon, and they're like, "Well, we know there's a few that have slipped through our fingers, right?" Like,
Because in old canon, it was just no. He was pretty thorough. You know, he did the damn job. They'd be dead.
So
Well, no,
Luke,
is,
Luke is the only Jedi because, of course, they had all the books of Luke on his own trying to dig up the teachings and rebuild
something
the
is
Jedi from
covered in the
scratch.
Obi-Wan series where you see just how many they have hunted down. I'll say
they've hunted down a lot, but they haven't found everybody. I mean, it's a big
Okay.
galaxy, right?
Yeah. I'm only
And
just checking because, of course, like I
it's
say,
cool, it's
old
cool.
continuity, they were dead. And
They're
does
now-
the
they're now-
new in new continuity, does Luke still build the Jedi Academy and train up or start building new Jedis and stuff?
that is beginning to be being covered.
Because it's sort of mentioned it in the Last Jedi, or
episode
whatever,
8, yeah.
but
That
it didn't really make any sense apart
The
from
s-
it
the
almost
setup-
implies he tried to train one, fucked it up,
setup-
and then went and go and sat in assault for 20 years.
the setup for that is beginning to be being covered in The Mandalorian.
Right.
It's a
Okay.
thing.
So Ben wasn't his first one. He didn't fuck just him up, fuck
It
that
would-
magnificently and sit on a rock.
His first one, if you really want to hear this, was Baby Yoda.
Okay, so I'm really confused because do you remember the old Young Jedi Knights books?
Yeah, I loved them. Read them all. They were
They
great.
were brilliant. I really liked them with Luke as the teacher.
Well,
and
some of them were good. The Sun Crusher was a huge pile of bullshit, but yeah,
it was. I remember being a kid and Lowbacker and that, and reading those books, and
Jason
Jacob
and
and
Solo, and all the plot with them, and Jason turning bad, and blah blah blah. Yeah,
I thought they were brilliant for kids' books. They were so well written.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Some of them were so well written. Some of them were shit.
Watch The Mandalorian. It's great.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the new season.
Has he got a pitchfork?
No, that is a long rifle, and the two little tongs at the bottom are the shooting barrel of his disintegrator rifle.
Cool.
It's basically like a sniper rifle, but if it hits you, it just disintegrates you. Like
the bit at the top is the shoulder stock.
That was in the disintegrator rifle. Is in the Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight game.
There you go.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So disintegrate you if you hit you.
Was it Jedi Knight? Was it Dark Force? No, it was Dark Forces Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. It was in that. I don't think it was in Jedi Knight.
Okay.
During The Mandalorian, you work out that Boba Fett survived his dive into the Sarlacc.
Because of his armor.
And the Book of Boba Fett covers how he did that, how he recuperated, what he did afterwards. And then halfway through the Book of Boba Fett series, it turns into The Mandalorian series 2.5. And it sort of all joins together and carries on from there. Bits of the Book of Boba Fett are boring because they're trying to make it a crime boss thing, but they're not making it very criminally.
I've heard really bad things about this series. That this is a bit of the live action series that have all been quite good up to this point. This is the bad one.
No, it's about as bad as Obi-Wan.
Okay, and that person in the background looks like the person that dies in episode 2.
It's not. It's another bounty hunter played by Ming-Na Wen.
Just looks very similar.
Yeah. It's not. The person who died in episode 2 is a shapeshifter. This is just a human.
Yeah.
I preferred probably Boba Fett to Obi-Wan because my expectations weren't high, and I thought Tamara Morrison was pretty
fair
good.
Enough. It's fun. Seeing him involved with the culture of the Sand People and what they're all about and doing was cool. Yeah,
there was like 2 whole episodes where the Sand People had rescued him from the Bantha. The Sarlacc pit.
The Sarlacc,
and he's like all
with
fucked
the speedy
up.
bike gang riding through the city. That was bullshit, and their bikes were bullshit. But
but there was a whole like 2 episodes where you had to try and learn like the Tuscan language of the Sand People, and it was fine. It was good.
Overall, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I'll say yes.
Did the Mandalorian have one of those insane rocket launchers in a backpack that you couldn't possibly aim?
He gets one later.
Yeah, he aims it with the thing on his helmet. It comes down over his eye, and it goes. You'll never actually see it.
All right, maybe it does, but Boba's one and Django's one didn't. He just pulled a weird sort of like downward-facing dog and let rip.
He does in this series. He does. The thing comes down and Boba Fett targets like a spaceship with it.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
So it fires up.
Maybe I'm not the only person that thought that always looked fucking stupid.
It did. All right, okay. We got with this one. Moving on.
Yeah. Hang on, you haven't given it a thumbs up. Do you give it a thumbs up, Mark? Or so it is worth watching. It's not.
Yeah.
Because I know John said he liked it more than Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay.
I mean,
put it in the bin.
It should have just put a snooze button, really, shouldn't it? Force Awakens, and then decides to take another 10 minutes.
When this was a standalone movie and it was the first one, I thought it was okay. It was, it was like it was.
I
the
thought
same
it was
as
fun
like
enough, but it's such a blatant rip-off of trying to do Episode 4 again for a new generation.
Yeah, when Phantom Menace came out, I felt like the same. I was like, it's okay, it'll get better, and that's kind of where I left
that one
this
did
movie.
Get better. This one only got worse.
But this, I'm sorry, I don't know if I rate J.J. Abrams because he did this one and he did those new Star Trek movies, and I'm not a huge fan of them either.
Yeah.
I didn't mind the first of the new Star Trek movies. I thought that was all right.
I actually quite enjoyed the new Star Trek movies.
Yeah. I didn't like the third of them. I know we got off topic. I didn't like the third one of the new ones. I thought that was done by
Simon Pegg.
Yeah. That was trying too hard to be Guardians of the Galaxy. It was a bit silly. We're going to blow up all the bad guys with music. That sort of silly shit, wasn't it?
I mean, the problems with this were that J.J. Abrams did Episode 7.
As a standalone movie?
Then they got J.J. Abrams in to do 9 again. There was no overarching plan from episode to episode. They just went and did one, and then we'll make another one, then do another one. No, there wasn't.
The plan was, we're going to kill off all the old people because we don't own them, and people are too entrenched with how they should act and behave, so that we can introduce our new range of teenage superheroes, so we can sell them.
You've deliberately misunderstood me. Marvel has a plan with how they're going to do all their phases and the story and what they're going to build towards. The original Star Wars was written as a trilogy. Episodes 1 to 3 were written as a trilogy. These were written as individual films.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I think I do agree with Tony that they wanted to get rid of the old actors.
They just wanted to get rid of it. I joked at the beginning that Harrison Ford was going to die in one, that Carrie Fisher was going to die in the next one, and that Luke Skywalker was going to die in another one. And I think I got the order wrong.
Yeah.
But other than that, before I'd seen any of them, and it's because Disney didn't own those characters, and in people's minds, they still belong to George Lucas, so they couldn't do much with them. They needed their own characters and their own things that they could do whatever they wanted with and market.
All their actors were aging, and they wanted to replace them with new actors to see it carry on forwards. I agree, but
that's true.
Anyway.
I remember feeling terrible when this movie came out because Han Solo had died, and
in such a stupid way as well.
I just kind of wished that they'd finished at 6. But
as of these days, if you haven't watched it, I wouldn't recommend watching it.
And Kylo Ren was such a shit character.
I mean, I'll watch it with my kid.
He had potential.
It's fine. This movie's fine.
Yeah. And what the fuck was going on with Rey as well?
Watch it.
All right. So,
as a character, I liked the guy who was a stormtrooper. That's why I asked earlier about the clones.
Finn.
Because I thought that I remember in that film that because that he wasn't a clone because they no longer used clones because they couldn't. And because this was the First Order, they started recruiting, and they weren't proper stormtroopers anymore. And I'm sure it made a bit of a point of that in that movie.
It did, yeah. It did make a point that he was some sort of different.
Now they're starting to recruit, but they didn't used to. And that's why I asked earlier about the clones, because I thought that was a new thing, and that's why these stormtroopers are a bit shitter than the old stormtroopers.
I mean, hand wavy that plot point away.
I was going to say, yeah. This movie kind of set up like there was places they could have gone from this movie, right? Like JJ set it up okay.
If they'd have had a plan for the trilogy, it would have been okay. There's so many ifs, ands, and buts.
Yeah.
Shall we
continue to rant about this magic one? Planet moon crack cannon.
Yeah, let's move on.
But not a Death Star.
What
the fuck was that?
It was actually the planet Ossus, the home world of the Jedi, where all the original kyber crystals came from. Which is why they used it.
Well, now it's a magic super Death Star.
Yeah, with laser beams that bend through. Anyway, right. So
and managed to kill like 8 planets in one solar system. But I mean, there were bits of this, problems.
There were bits of this I really liked, and the majority of it I really respected what Ryan was trying to do with this film.
I liked the end credits because then I could leave.
I like that he was trying to say Rey is no one. Let's put all this aside. Let's try and do something new with Star Wars, and let's not just rehash the same old stuff over and over again. The casino planet was a huge pile of bullshit.
Don't know what was going on there. I didn't like the way they got Wedge, and then they gave him a new name and said, "This is now Wedge," and Wedge is that fat guy over there.
Yeah. They also killed off Admiral Akbar in the most sort of stupid
ridiculous way. Again, it's like intentional. It's like they took the old stuff and then intentionally shat on it.
Which is what they say through the film, I suppose. To be fair.
It's an old trope because it's like, I know we're getting off topic, but I'm using it as an example. Halo is a great example of that. When they did Halo 5, they're like, we want a new character to introduce and sell this to a new market. So the way we're going to prove that this new guy's a badass is by having him beat up Master Chief for no apparent reason and with no effort whatsoever. It's like, you thought Master Chief was good. Look at our new guy, just kicks his ass. And that's kind of how I felt this film was. It's like, let's take all the old stuff and go, no. They're nothing. Look at these new guys. They're just those, but 10 times better.
On the flip side, there were some bits of this I thought were really good. As I said, the bit with Yoda and Luke on the planet where Yoda's just laughing at Luke having this massive meltdown, I thought was brilliant.
It had for me, it had a few small moments like that, which I enjoyed, but there was a lot that I hated. I hated a bit at the start and like the very start.
Very divisive. Very divisive. Oh, the start with those stupid ass bombers. They were fucking disgraceful.
You can't
They were.
drop things in space.
Yeah, I mean, they opened the doors to space and then they relied on gravity. I mean, straight
What?
away I was like, okay, this makes no
What?
sense. But
At least the
thing
old
that,
bombers used torpedoes. That made sense. They weren't really bombers. They were torpedo boats, the Y-wings and stuff. No. These are magic gravity ones.
this
And
was
then
what I
that
was.
fucking light speed.
This
We
is
could
what I was
blow
trying to
everything
say about bad writing, where it was like we're in a space chase, and this like
Suddenly we can magically track you through hyperspace, which you've never been able to do before in a massive.
but we're in a space chase
Universal
in
operating
Star
way.
Wars, and for the first time ever in any Star Wars movie, fuel suddenly becomes an issue, in that they say like we can only stay ahead of them for so long, we need fuel, and I was like, oh, because I never saw them like. You know, there's never a problem when the X-Wings were out in the middle of nowhere. Luke's X-Wing is all on his own going to Dagobah, you know,
fly different planets. It's a snub fighter, but it can go
and
wherever it
you're
wants.
telling me that giant fucking Star Destroyer, they can't get on the comm and be like, we're going east, guys, or you know, whatever direction we're going in space, because it's 3 dimensions, but let's just simplify it to we're going east.
Yeah.
Could we get one Star
We're
Destroyer to
spinward
warp?
or hubward?
Could we jump forward half a light year or whatever east in front of them and just fucking have our
Alright,
fleet there?
okay.
And then the change to Luke. The thing I think that killed it for me was like
Turning
Luke
Princess Leia
Skywalker.
could fly.
No. The thing that
and not
the
a
thing
hero.
the thing that kills it is like Luke Skywalker at the end of Return of the Jedi is like, Dad, Father, I will not fight you. I'll throw down my lightsaber to be killed by the Emperor or whatever. But it was like, oh, this kid's having a bad dream? Well, let me just murder him in his sleep. I'm like, well, that's a bit of a character shift, isn't it?
They
That killed
took
it for
the
me.
character and disrespected it so much to make a
That
point.
was yeah. So
It was just, and then they blew up an entire fleet by going to light speed. If you could do that, you could have blown up the Death Star. Just point it next to me and go, right, line that up, get a droid to fly because droids can fly them, and boom, Death Star's gone.
Yeah.
What? When did they suddenly be able to blow up fleets with hyperspace ships?
So
And have
much
they always been
internal
able to do it?
logic thrown away in this film.
yeah,
You're absolutely right. That's everything.
yeah.
Okay,
There's
so-
nothing good about
okay.
this film. All of
Alright.
it should go in the bin.
I don't think all of it should go in the bin, but I'm happy with most of it going in the bin.
Okay.
Even, I know it's a bit risky and it's a little bit controversial, it was certainly implied that even Luke Skywalker didn't like this film and was warning people off of it.
Mark Hamill, yeah, that's certainly been a matter of
but-
record these days.
Yeah.
Because he's like,
Yeah.
it's not Luke Skywalker. He doesn't act like that. He's not
Yeah,
murdering.
he was doing a
arsehole.
job. Yeah. All right. Okay. There we go. That's it. There is no more Star Wars.
All right, that's the end of the episode, guys. Thanks so much for watching.
I wish
Just
that was.
watching, yeah.
I really wish that was the case. I really wish that was the case, but unfortunately, they did make episode 9.
I haven't seen it and I don't care to.
Can I tell you
God, it
the
was
one thing
so much bollocks.
the one right, 2 giant problems with episode 9, right? If you haven't seen it, this is a bit spoilery.
Only 2.
Right. I'm just going to give you 2 that like there were so many problems with the movie, and it was honestly the movie's going at like a million miles an hour because they're trying to cram like 3 ending movies into a single movie, right? So like there's
So you've got J.J. Abrams did 7, and then Ryan Johnson shat all over that to try and do his own plot arc in 8. Then they bring J.J. Abrams to do 9, and he's trying to retcon all the stuff that Ryan Johnson did in 8 and make 7 again, and close all that.
and they're on this like mad space chase with so much dialogue, and they've even got this thing called like hyperspace jumping or something, skipping, where they're like in space and they can go into like these mini 2-second hyperspace jumps. And get this, the TIE fighters are following them through these hyperspace jumps. God
Through a
knows how that
planet.
works. Like through planets and like through like space stations and all this. Very Guardians of the Galaxy, as you say. But at the end of the movie, right, it's like they have that entire fleet of Star Destroyers, right?
no,
Like let's say like
don't
they've
go
got
there.
1,000 Star Destroyers, right?
Each
and
of
every
which-
Star Destroyer
each
has a
of which-
Death Star cannon on it.
Every
Yeah.
single Star Destroyer's got their star laser underneath it.
Right, so they've got
Yeah.
1,000 of them, right?
You've got a
And
fleet
get
of
this,
Star Destroyer
and
Death
they're
Stars.
all hidden in this planet or in this atmosphere, right? And
On
they
this secret
can't
Sith planet.
they can't leave because the rebels have like destroyed like a radar tower that makes it that they can't see which way is up. So they don't know if they fly up, they'll fly into the planet, or if they'll leave, right? So, I mean, arguments aside, you could just say, hey, why don't we tell Joe
Hang
and
on,
that
what
shit
way
to
do
try?
things fall down? Go the other one.
And then, to try and stop them all from leaving, they mount a cavalry charge on the hull of one of the Star Destroyers.
Exactly. So the cavalry land on the Star Destroyer in space, right? And
what kind of magic fucking horses are these?
Wait for it. I was like, they're looking out the window at the cavalry and they're going, well, if the cavalry don't fall off, surely that's up, right? If we're upside down, they just fall off. So just fly up, guys, and we'll get out, right? But there's this throwaway line before that fight, right? There's 1,000 Star Destroyers. Like, if this was the original movie, you remember how many ships the Rebels had? They had like 10 X-Wings. That was it. They had to kill the Death Star with.
They had two squadrons, didn't they? But they were bits of pieces because you had a mixture of X-Wings and Y-Wings.
So
no A-Wings, though, for no.
The hint was that this was going to be the Katana fleet, essentially.
So before, like 10 minutes before this fight, there's a throwaway line. Like, it's so throwaway because the dialogue's going so far. They're like, Lando, right? This is like, Lando's in this movie for like 2 minutes. They go like, Lando, you go get some help, right? That's it. That's like the throwaway line in the midst of all this dialogue. There's 1,000 Star Destroyers, right? And all of a sudden, they're fighting with these 1,000 Star Destroyers with like 10 ships, right? As you do, because it's the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah.
And then you just get like, Lando's brought help, and it cuts to the shot, right? And it's like a space background. And you can't see any space because there's so many ships, like on this, like, 2 minutes.
So the theory is he's brought everybody in the galaxy with a spaceship to this one place and planet to fight this fleet of Death Star Destroyer laser fucking things.
And then at that point, the battle has no context. Have you guys seen?
Hang on, are those two fighting? Sorry, in that picture there, are those two fighting in space?
No, they're fighting on the wreck of the Death Star 2, as it is on the moon of Endor after it's crashed and is in the seas.
Okay, so it just looks like they're in space.
That's just marketing for the poster.
That's fine. I'm just checking that they haven't suddenly gained the ability to breathe vacuum.
I mean, there's
other than the cavalry charge.
It wouldn't shock me, but yeah.
I was going to say, the Emperor's back in this movie, but that's not even the biggest problem with the movie.
You can see his eyes just a little bit in the background behind him. Yeah.
So hang on. So was the Star Destroyers with the Death Star lasers? Was that supposedly now the Katana fleet?
No, it was never the Katana fleet. It was just hoped that they would be the Katana fleet, and they never turned out to be.
Because I don't think that they found the Katana fleet in the old...
in the books that got retconned out of existence and have not.
Because I remember reading them; they were really good.
They were really cool,
but like those two examples are just like there's so many problems with this movie, and like it's just so many stupid things. Like at one point they have to translate some ancient Sith dialogue, but they can't because it's illegal and C-3PO knows the code or something. I was like, when Anakin was making C-3PO, he programmed into him how to translate Sith dialogue. Like
no, because he wasn't a Sith; he was a tiny child.
Exactly, it's just batshit crazy.
We can rant about this so long. It's crap. Don't watch it. There is one more piece of Star Wars to show off after this.
Okay. Can I just add one last little dig?
You may.
Even though I haven't seen it. I really fucking hate Rey and Kylo. Both characters awful.
How would you feel if they had a kiss at the end? Would that make you feel good or bad?
I don't understand if they're related or not, and I've never quite worked that out.
Well, let's say they're not related.
Do you want to know? You're never going to watch this.
No intention. I don't care.
So Rey is Emperor Palpatine's granddaughter, so they are not related.
But does that implies then that Palpatine had a daughter or a son?
Yeah.
Which was
Palpatine had sex. Yeah.
Well, I get that. That's fine. The
son was nobody. He wasn't force sensitive.
He was important. He was a senator.
No,
he's got to have loads of groupies thrown.
He basically decided, fuck the Emperor. I hate all of this shit. I'm going to go and live my own life somewhere, marry a woman, have sex, have a kid, and it turned out to be Rey.
Yeah, it turned out to be a force sensitive kid, I guess.
So they just sort of dumped the idea that he had a crazy love child, didn't like his dad, fucked off. I'm not going to worry about digging into that. Just so we can have a random tangential link to the Emperor.
Yeah. But how would you feel if they had a kiss? Would that not make a lot of sense? Would that not make you feel happy?
I mean, I've got a personal opinion about Star Wars anyway, that they seem to be leaning far too heavily onto the that kind of I don't care about the characters' sex lives. But that's a different story.
One
I don't
random
think
thing
it's
that's
relevant.
really important though about this movie
Yeah.
is they introduced a new Jedi power. Right? Get this
God.
Jedi power. They can now teleport any item they want from anywhere to the galaxy to where they need it to be. So when Kylo's back to the wall and he doesn't have his lightsaber, he can teleport it.
Provided they're a linked pair, a mated pair, or not mated, but you know what the fuck I mean. They've got a special force connection with each other.
So they
So
can
if you
teleport.
really spent a lot of time making thermal detonators,
You teleport them anywhere they need to. It's fucking stupid movie, man.
This film is such a bad joke.
I
know,
I
it's
haven't
only
watched it,
potential.
and I don't want to. It looks fucking awful. The
I've only
previous two were fucking awful.
The only time I would recommend you ever watch this is when it's 1 a.m. You're fucked, and you just want to watch it for a laugh with
Probably
some
had
mates.
2 of these or something.
Exactly right. Yeah, just to take the piss out of it and say that you've watched it and seen how bollocks it is.
I watched it once in a cinema, and it was such a poor ending to the series or whatever.
Yeah, it was just bad.
Did it ever explain who that Snopesy fella was?
Yeah,
The one that looked like the
Yeah.
engineer from Prometheus.
yeah.
He was a
yeah.
clone.
He was a failed clone experiment of efforts to reclone Palpatine because he's only alive because he's in a clone body of himself that he force transferred into. Just like in the Dark Empire stuff.
Okay.
It reminded me of.
But the difference was the Dark Empire stuff was good.
The Dark Empire
Yeah.
stuff was good. This was shit. And the intimation is that some of the clone tanks from Camino in the Bad Batch taken into what looks like Mount Tantis links into some stuff going on with the Mandalorian and why the remains of the Empire wanted Baby Yoda with scientists who are involved in cloning. And it looks like it's all going to vaguely link in towards recloning Palpatine or something. Or it might be based into clone tech and they're going to bring back Grand Admiral Thrawn and do his clone saga, which would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, because that was, again, good.
Rumor has it that the next thing coming from the people making The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and whatnot is going to be a Marvel-style TV series coming together where Thrawn is the big bad.
Okay, that sounds bad.
They
won't do a good job of it. They'll
trust-
focus on all the wrong things.
I trust Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau to get it right because they've done good stuff.
Yeah, it's funny.
They've done Clone Wars, they've done Rebels, they've done Mandalorian.
I like
So
Jon
you got-
Favreau, to be fair.
They should have given the fucking 3 movies to Dave Filoni. It's the biggest mistake that they could ever. I guess they didn't trust him with Hollywood, or he didn't have enough experience. Well, they should have just fucking waited. Because I'm sorry, the people they gave it to are crap. And Ryan Johnson for me is like, every time I hear him associated with more Star Wars content, I'm like, please God, no.
Don't worry about it. Just watch Knives Out and Glass Onion, and they're fucking brilliant.
They were fucking great. They were great films. I love
Well,
them.
he doesn't know Star Wars, I guess.
No, but he does know fun.
I disagree. Anyway, so Rise of Skywalker in the bin. Fuck it. The last piece of Star Wars I can recommend. It's not part of canon, but it is on Disney Plus and it is Star Wars. It's called Star Wars Visions. It's a series of 9 self-contained episodes of Japanese anime-style Star Wars where they just do whatever the crazy fuck they like, and it's brilliant.
I haven't watched any of it.
It's great.
I watched something along these lines. Did you see there's a Studio Ghibli short?
Yeah, I
which
did
is-
mention it because it's only a 3-minute short of
It's only
Baby
a 3-minute
Yoda.
thing, but I'm a huge Ghibli fan.
Mm.
I know it doesn't come across me, liking fun kids romantic kind of Japanese television, because I don't watch anime or any of that shit really. But I do like Studio Ghibli because it's so warm, it's wholesome, it's fun, and it's so fun.
Each of the 9 episodes of this are done by a different animator and a different writer, and they're all self-contained, and some of them are batshit fucking crazy, but they're fun.
Is it like the Animatrix?
Yeah, it's like if the Animatrix was in Star Wars. That's exactly what this is.
That was cool, wasn't it? Remember that? The
I do remember
Wachowskis
that.
kind of multimedia
Most of those
experience
episodes are
in
really
Star
good.
Wars.
Some of them
they
are weird
were.
as fuck, but they're all pretty good. I enjoyed them. So yeah, watch this one. It's good.
So this is worth a watch, is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we've been going for ages. I don't know if you've got one more slide I can see.
This is the last slide.
Give me a rundown. If you could say to people who this sounds weird, but you know what I mean when I say it. Normal people who watched the original trilogy when they were kids and liked it, but haven't really paid any attention to the Disney shit, like me, really, who have now got Disney Plus, and you're like, right, you haven't got a lot of free time because you're a grown up and you've got a job and kids. What are, if you had like top 3 things that are new from the Disneyverse or whatever, what are they?
My must watches from the Disneyverse that are not the films.
Yeah.
I would wholeheartedly endorse Clone Wars with no hesitation.
Okay.
Not so much this. It's like an adjunct. I absolutely watch this.
Yeah.
Absolutely watch this.
Okay.
Absolutely watch this, but it's a film, but whatever.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. Absolutely watch this.
Yeah.
Maybe watch this, but kind of absolutely, because it is also Mandalorian Series 2.5
Remember,
at the same
you're
time.
already at 4, and I said
I don't
top
give a
3
fuck.
already.
Don't care. And then we go into the sequel trilogy. So there you go.
Okay, so basically the 2 kind of Rebels and Clone Wars.
Clone Wars and Rebels, or Mandalorian.
And/or Mandalorian. That's kind of the top 4.
Yeah.
Watch those, and then if you've got a bit more time left over, hop to the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. Book of Boba Fett is...
So would you say Book of Boba Fett over Bad Batch?
Well, if it was me, I would watch Andor, Mandalorian. I mean, just if you're trying to keep it simple, you got things to keep you busy, I would watch those 2 first.
Okay.
So is that because the cartoons are so long?
Yeah, I mean, like, Mandalorian's going to be like 16 episodes total, Andor's going to be like 12. I mean, that that takes me and the wife 3 months to get through.
That's kind of where I'm at, because like we are all adults. I ain't got that much free time.
Yeah.
When I was younger, then yeah, sure, I'd sit down and I'd watch 7 seasons or something. But now it's a big
Starting
ask,
on the cartoon series is a bit of an endeavour. I'll give you that, but it's.
But you reckon they're worth it?
Oh yeah, without hesitation.
Yeah, no, I love Rebels, but like I said, if you're on a limited time scale, then you just want to get caught up quickly. Then I would say Andor and Mandalorian are the 2 most.
Oh God, you've actually been drinking it. Fucking hell.
Andor and Mandalorian, the 2 that are going to get more series as well, right, Mark?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So they would be a good place to go, because then you wouldn't be left behind when new episodes of Mandalorian or Andor come out.
And you can get on the bandwagon, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, if you're so bad, why did you drink it?
Oh, because somebody bought it for me.
And he's probably watching this episode right now, laughing at you.
Cheers to you, Tony. Well done, mate, for getting that down you.
Oh, if somebody buys you a drink, it's only polite to drink it. Oh.
It is only polite. I always tell my wife that, but she always just says, like, you should just tell them to not buy you more drinks. Like, it doesn't work that way, love.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
All right, if you enjoyed this week's episode and you think you know something about Star Wars, leave us a comment down below.
And you probably do. You know more than me.
Feel free to disagree with everything we said. Everyone's very.
We haven't mentioned any of the video games or any of the Legends stuff, which I think there's so much amazing stuff.
Valid, and I have many opinions, especially on Star Wars.
Do you remember the Star Wars Droids game?
Sadly, yes.
Where you could build your own droid and then you could like use it to solve like problems and stuff.
Oh, I vaguely remember that.
It was a LucasArts game, and they made it with no combat in at all. You just had parts. You had to and you had to build a droid that could solve problems and stuff, and like escape from this thing or fix this thing and stuff like that. It was wicked.
I think the best Star Wars video game was the Star Wars pod racing video game. I thought that was.
I remember that.
That was very good. I got the N64. Still have got it.
Yeah, because you could play it with the 2 controllers, and each stick was one of the engines, and that was so well done. Loved it.
Dark Forces.
I did love Dark Forces.
Dark Forces was very good. The whole Dark Forces series was very good.
Battlefront is good if you've got a friend and you want to play split screen.
The original good ones or the modern shit ones by EA. I'm being a bit facetious. Do you remember Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds? That was a good one.
I do remember
Empire War was good for
Empire's War as well. Yeah.
The X-Wing series. X-Wing Alliance was a little bit
X-Wing Rogue Squadron,
but the other
was
ones
a great
were
game. Yeah.
Oh, the ones on the N64, Rogue Squadron, and then the second one was GameCube, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not just into 40k. I'm also into retro video games.
I'm
seriously into retro video games. I don't own a CDI.
I wasn't a massive fan of the Shadow of the Empire stuff. It was okay, but it wasn't great.
My Amiga doesn't work anymore.
Oh.
So, Shadow of the Empire, that wasn't bad. That was the third-person one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a combined video game and comic series and novel at the same time. That's like a big sort of cross
kind of multimedia thing
that took place between Empire and Return of the Jedi.
They made a few ropey games, and this was a bit buggy, but not awful. I remember it being more like that one. Do you remember the Rebel Assault games that had like live action / rotoscoped animation with sort of a bit of X-Wing in there and a bit of it's like this kind of crazy multimedia games.
Yeah,
vaguely. Everything all mixed together into it. They just didn't work at all.
I never played them because they weren't on any systems out at the time. But yeah,
they were PC games, but they re-released them on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation as well.
All right, well, let's have another episode about Star Wars video games. If you want to see that, leave us a comment.
We're overrunning a little bit here.
Let us know if you want us to do an because I do know about the old ones, not the new ones. They can fuck off.
Thanks everybody for watching and appreciating this. If you did, leave your opinions in the comments, and we're looking forward to all the disagreements that are going to be coming our way, and hopefully a few agreements as well.
Yeah. Don't execute Order 66. All right, we'll catch you next time.
Be a bad batch. Don't know that.
Have a good one, guys. Cheers.
Bye, everybody.